Before we get into today's game, I want to talk about the sponsors for my channel. Card Conduit is the best way to sell your unused Magic cards. Whether you've got a box of unsorted bulk, or a complete and alphabetized set, there's a great option for everyone. With a payout averaging 19% better than using any one buy list, and that's after fees are applied, you can rest assured you'll get the best bang for your buck. And if you use the affiliate link in the description below, or the promo code MTGMUDSTA, you'll save 10% off their fees. And 401 Games, Canada's one-stop shop for trading cards, board games, and hobby supplies. And if you use the promo code MTGMUDSTA, your first purchase of MTG sealed and singles will be 5% off. And Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest deck. So be sure to use the code MUDSTA or the affiliate link down below to save 5% on your next order. Today's patron shoutout goes to Wes Allen. Thanks Wes for supporting me through Patreon. We are also in the home stretch of Kieran Yanner's Kickstarter campaign. This campaign offers you a chance at a limited edition playmat featuring some gorgeous art from Kieran Yanner's collection, including Kenrith the Return King, Queen Marquesa, Teferi's Protection, and Xanathar, Guild Kingpin. These pieces of art have also been extended to really fill out and beautifully complement playmats. And with each new tier being unlocked, backers get to vote for a new print and playmat from a selection of his artwork. So act now and be sure to use my affiliate link down below to let him know I sent you. Hey gang, and welcome back! Today's game has Fred, Maximus, Ian, and Mika joining me. Fred has borrowed my Jolly Balloon Man deck and keeps Ancient Copper Dragon, 2 Plains, Witty Roastmaster, Command Tower, and 2 Mountains. Unfortunately, I wasn't feeling well for this game, so Ian has stepped in to play the Patreon-submitted Samwise Gamgee deck. He keeps Galagreeters, 2 Forests, Plains, Verge Rangers, Peregrine Took, and Tamio's Safekeeping. Maximus is playing Jansen, keeping Mountain, Command Tower, Lochiel Clockwork Scholar, Wishclaw Talisman, Solemn Simulacrum, Iker Wellspring, and a Frogmire Enforcer. And last but not least, Mika is playing his The Odd Acorn gang, keeping a Path of Ancestry, Endray's Forerunners, Doubling Season, Changeling Outcast, Forest, Tainted Wood, and Talisman of Resilience. Fred wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws and plays a Plains and passes. Ian's got a Forest return and passes after that. Maximus draws and plays a Command Tower. Mika's turn 1 has him playing a tap Path of Ancestry and passing. Fred's turn 2 is quite quick as he's got a Mountain for turn and passes. Ian draws, plays a Plains, and then pays a green and a white for Samwise Gamgee. Maximus draws, playing a Mountain for turn, and then paying 2 for an Iker Wellspring. He draws a card as it enters and passes to Mika. Mika's got a Tainted Wood for turn, and he then casts a Talisman of Resilience. He ships it after that. Fred draws and plays a Mountain. He then casts his commander with the Jolly Balloon Man and passes to Ian. Ian draws for turn and plays a Forest in his main phase, and then casts Peregrine Took. With Sam seeing Peregrine come in, Ian makes a food token, which is doubled thanks to Peregrine Took's ability. He then goes to combat and swings his commander at Maximus for 2. Max takes it, and Ian passes. Max draws and plays a Shattered Landscape. He then casts Lochiel and passes to Mika. Mika draws and plays a Viridescent Bog. He then casts Hazel of the Rootbloom. He scries 1 from using the Path of Ancestry to cast her, and he passes to Fred after that. Fred's turn has a Command Tower coming in, and he then casts a Witty Roastmaster. He then activates the Jolly Balloon Man and makes a balloon copy of the Roastmaster, dealing 1 to each opponent from the original Witty Roastmaster, seeing the balloon version coming in. Going to combat, Fred swings the 1/1 balloon copy at Mika, who takes the hit for 1. Fred then moves through his phases, sacrificing the token as he passes his turn. Ian draws and plays a Banquet Guest, putting 3 into the X, which enters with 6+1/+1 counters, and because of Sam and Pippin being out, he gets to make 2 more food tokens. He then ships it to Max after that. Max draws and casts a Goring Warplow as the prototype cost, and then passes to Mika once it resolves. Mika draws and plays a Forest for turn, and he's got enough mana now to cast the Odd Acorn gang. Going to combat, he swings Hazel at Fred, who takes the hit, and Mika gets to draw a card from the Odd Acorn gang. With nothing else, he passes. Fred draws, plays a Plains, and decides to become a problem, casting Mondrak. Everyone takes one from the Roastmaster as it comes in, and Fred then activates the Jolly Balloon Man, this time making 2 copies of the Roastmaster, which are both seen by each other, dealing 1 each, and both seen by the original, which deals an additional 2 for a total of 4. Moving to combat, Fred swings his 2 balloons at Mika, who takes the 2. Fred then passes, sacrificing his balloon tokens, and during his end step, Maximus cracks the landscape to go and find a swamp. Ian's got a Verge Rangers for turn, making 2 food tokens. He then plays an Exotic Orchard off the top, and passes turn. Max draws and casts Rite of Oblivion, sacrificing his Ichor Wellspring to exile the odd Acorn gang. With the Wellspring going to his graveyard, he also gets to draw a card. Max then plays a Swamp for turn, and he casts Illusionist Bracers. He passes to Mika after that. Mika's turn has him drawing and casting a Changeling Outcast, getting to scry 1 from the Path of Ancestry. He then plays a Chittering Witch and makes 3 rats as it comes in. Moving to his end step, Mika gets to make another rat from Hazel's ability, and he passes to Fred. Fred draws and plays a Plains. He then once more copies the Roastmaster with the Balloon Man again, and deals 4 to the table. He then swings a balloon at Ian and a balloon at Maximus. And in his second main phase, Fred then sacrifices his 2 balloons to give Mondrak the Indestructible counter and passes turn. Ian draws for turn, and he casts a Krark Clan Ironworks. He then sacrifices 6 food tokens to draw 2 cards from Peregrine's second ability, and then plays a Plains for turn. He passes after that. Maximus draws and plays a Solemn Simulacrum, going to find a Plains as it comes in, plus drawing a card from Lochiel. He then plays a Tomb Fortress and passes to Mika. Mika's turn has him playing a Forest, and he then plays Garruk, Cursed Huntsman. He activates its 0 ability, making 2 wolves, and going to combat. He swings the Changeling Outcast at Fred for 1, who takes the hit. Mika then moves to his end step, making another wolf token thanks to Hazel, and passing turn. Fred draws and plays a Mountain. He then casts an Ancient Copper Dragon, and activates the Balloon Man, making 2 copies of it. The witty Roastmaster has seen the original and the copies coming in, dealing 3 to his opponents, and Fred then goes to combat. He swings a balloon at Max and a balloon at Mika, and they both take 1. Fred gets to roll 2 d20s, and he hits an 8 and a 14 off the dragon's hitting, which also double thanks to Mondrak, creating a total of 44 treasure tokens. Fred then sacrifices 2 of them to help cast Impact Tremors. And he then casts an Overlord of the Boiler Bilges, which deals 4 to Maximus, plus deals 1 to each of his opponents thanks to the Impact Tremors. Fred then sacrifices the 2 tokens to add another Indestructibility counter onto Mondrak, just for fun, and passes turn. Ian draws and plays a Brushland, and then casts Kogla. Ian makes 2 food tokens as Kogla comes in, and has it fight the Overlord of the Boiler Bilges. With the ability on the stack, Fred responds with a Boros Charm to make his team indestructible. Going to combat, Ian swings the Banquet Guests at Maximus, and Max blocks the Warplow. Before damage, Ian sacrifices a food token for 2 mana to the Krark Clan Ironworks, and then sacrifices his other food to make the Banquet Guests indestructible. The Warplow then dies, and Ian passes. Maximus draws and plays a Vault of the Archangel. He then casts Breach the Multiverse, and Max gets the Goring Warplow, Honored Dryleader, Darksteel Splicer, and a Gilded Goose from the graveyards. Maximus then makes 3 Golem tokens and a food token as the stuff comes in, and the Dryleader gets a counter onto it. Max also draws from Lochiel, and then goes to combat. He swings the Solemn Simulacrum at Fred for 2, who takes the hit, and after that, Maximus passes. Mika draws and downticks Garruk to destroy the Overlord. This allows Mika to draw a card, and he then casts Doubling Season. He then taps Hazel and 7 tokens to make 7 mana and lose 2 life, and cast the odd Acorn gang again. Mika then moves to his end step, making an additional wolf token with Hazel that's doubled by the Doubling Season for a total of 2. Fred draws and casts Battle Mage's Bracers, and equips it onto the Jolly Balloon Man. He then activates the Balloon Man targeting the witty Roastmaster, and pays the 1 to copy the ability thanks to the bracers. This has Fred doing a total of 10 damage with his Roastmasters, and he then moves to combat. He swings 3 balloons at Max, and then a balloon and the ancient copper dragon at Mika. Mika trades his odd Acorn gang for the dragon, but still takes the one from the balloon, while Maximus dies. Fred then passes to Ian. Ian draws and announces he'll go to combat, but before leaving the main phase, Fred casts Path to Exile and targets Kogla in response. Ian is ready though with Tamio's safekeeping to save it, and we then move to declare attackers, and he swings everything at Fred. Ian gets a Kogla on attack trigger, and he destroys the impact tremors, and Fred then blocks Kogla with Mondrak, but takes the rest. After combat, Ian casts Split Up, and destroys all untapped creatures, and then passes turn. Mika draws and uses Garuk's ability to make more wolf tokens, which are doubled thanks to doubling season. He then taps Hazel to help cast Concordant Crossroads. And once that's out, casts the End Raise Forerunners. Moving to combat, Ian then casts a Naturalize to take out the Concordant Crossroads, which unfortunately denies Mika a lot of attackers. Mika decides to swing his Forerunners and Rat at Ian, and the non-summoning Sick Wolves at Fred. Fred blocks a wolf with Mondrak to kill it, and takes 8, while Ian has no blockers and dies. Moving to his end step, Mika then gets to make a wolf token thanks to Hazel, which is doubled because of doubling season, and he passes to Fred. Fred draws and it doesn't have very much going on, so he casts Chaos Warp and targets one of his treasures. He flips into an Idol of Oblivion, which he's excited about, and sacrifices it to make a 10/10 Eldrazi token. While the 10/10 doesn't have haste, Fred is able to copy it 4 times with the Jolly Balloon Man and the Bracers, and he then sends the 1/1 balloons at Mika. With no way to block, Mika takes lethal from 1/1s that were originally 10/10s, and Fred wins the game. Game review time. Unfortunately, you're going to have to make do without my beautiful face in this review since I'm feeling a bit under the weather and I just cannot be bothered to set up the camera to do it. So yeah, get ready for some static images. Today's game was about an hour long, and about 10 minutes of it, unfortunately, was me fixing the camera. I don't know if you noticed it, but for the first, I'd say about 15 minutes of the actual gameplay, so about the first 3 minutes of this game, the camera kept trying to autofocus constantly. It would cause these like little micro zoom in, zoom outs, which was really, really annoying, and I wanted to deal with it before the game went on for too long. Thankfully, by the second half of it, I was able to deal with that, and yeah, I think this was a pretty decent game. The patron deck for Samwise Gamgee, I think did okay for, Ian not really knowing what was in the list. I think some of his attacks might have been better suited going at Fred, since Fred was very clearly the enemy for most of the game, but he got there in the end. He also had a decent amount of removal and interaction, which was always fun. Max's Jansen deck, again, it just seems to be sputtering a little bit. He's definitely tweaked it more and more, but unfortunately it's just being a bit camera shy, so we're not seeing too much of it. Breach of the Multiverse is a sweet card though, and I love seeing that resolved at least. The Jolly Balloon Man is hilarious, and I think it's just such a great Boros card. I've enjoyed this kind of Boros token creature decks that we've been seeing a lot of, but this one just takes the cake. I love the fact that it makes hasty balloons, and yeah, the fact that Fred was able to win with an Idol of Oblivion token, which wasn't even used to attack, is hilarious. Mika's the odd Acorn gang is aggressive. There are so many doubling effects in green, and it just goes so wide so quickly, as we saw. I thought for sure the turn that he had the Concordant Crossroads and the Forerunners out that he had the game, but Ian was able to at least shut him down a little bit. I think if Ian hadn't had that piece of removal, the game was totally in the bag for Mika. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.